Hello and welcome to Rauta's Underground Trio. This time we have 3 different releases, but not so much as 3 different styles. This time all the bands included, 4 of them, are black metal ones. 2 of them are from Norway, 1 of them is from United States, and 1 of them is from Canada. So, diverse a little bit, but not that much. When it comes to the given styles, there's a little bit more variety. However, 2 of these bands are related to one another, even coming from the same label, these Norwegian acts, so there are some overlapping or similarities to say the least. 2 of them are also a little bit older, so there's this factor, and 1 of them is very, very new, so new that even Metal Archives doesn't have any information on them. But without further ado, let's go from worst to best according to my own opinion. You will see the bands listed and all the links necessary in the description box. So, worst to best it is according to my own opinion. Feel free to disagree. Now, first one is a CDR with no label, no layout, no cover, nothing whatsoever except the CDR. And this is called Neishe and Laüstic with Theomeny in glass. Now, the reason why there is a CDR like this is very simple. I require a physical copy for my review purposes, and that's pretty much one of the requirements where lots of bands just give up when they are digital only, when they have nothing else but, say, Bandcamp or maybe just YouTube. And then they're offering me to check out their music, and I'm like, hey, sorry, but I have dozens and dozens of CDs and vinyl waiting for their turn. And, it's very easy to those bands to give up since they don't have anything physical. I'm always like, come back when you have something and then we can discuss it and do an unboxing. And then there are bands which get really creative, such as these guys. And instead of, having the physical copy right there, coming from the record plant or record label or whatsoever, they come up with the CDR copy. So at least they have the CDR. That is physical, in which case I'm going to talk about it. Obviously, I was expecting something else, but physical is physical, right? So this is just kind of to give a justification why this is here. Now, otherwise, I don't really understand that they wanted to push this for review. First of a couple of reasons. This is a split with merely 10 minutes of music. And on top of that, like I said, there is no Metal Archive site for neither of the band. Not for the American Neishe or not for the Canadian Laüstic, however it's supposed to be pronounced. So it's very much like these guys have their very limited information online, what I could actually just with quick Googling found out, YouTube link. And I'm like thinking, why they don't have more than that? Maybe there are Bandcamps, and maybe by the time I'm done with the video and uploading, maybe there will be links. But for the time being, no information available on Metal Archives whatsoever, so I guess I'll just have to, dig up a little bit of information, whether there is social media links or whatever information about the band. But now it seems very, very underground. So 2 songs, 10 minutes, with 2 different styles of black metal. Both are quite melodic, but in a different fashion. Neishe is more like more modern, with a little bit I would call some kind of a deathcore thing seeping through with the breakdowns and all, but other than that, it's more like modern black metal with melodics and fast tempo and some level of aggression, which is not bad at all, except for the rather demo-ish, production and all. Especially the guitars sound pretty weak, which makes me think this is probably done at the rehearsal place or maybe some kind of a bedroom thing going on. The song itself, apart from the breakdown parts, is pretty actually decent. It's just fast forward, melodic, aggressive and all, with the aggressive vocals and all. But those breakdowns seem like why you do like having a spastic, seizure. So, but I don't know, maybe there is some kind of a potential for that, and looking forward to hear from the band in the future. Now, Laüstic has been introduced to me, at least in this very video description, as more like progressive black metal, and I get it what it means. They do have some melodic ideas, but they also have this kind of a uplifting, happy mood moments where I'm, what the hell is going on? And once again, with the vocals and some of the ideas, I get a little bit of this core thing seeping through. With this one, I'm not so convinced that this is actually a very potential case. It's not like it's outright bad, but coming up with this kind of song and then having the demo-ish production is very much like, this is not gonna do the trick, not for now anyway. So that was the worst of the pile, being mediocrity overall, in on average. So then we go to Norway with something a little bit older release. This is a side project called Syning, with the album called Syning. It comes with a very, very bleak album cover, and all the things here are seeming like very dark, very death-like. Everything is kind of painting this picture to me in my head with this imagery, with this, cool but very dark package, that this is gonna be something extraordinary. Well, extraordinary it is, in the sense like this is black metal supergroup, or with supergroup. Let's just call it veteran group. There's this one guy from Manes, for instance, and one guy from Hordem Rife, and then there's this one guy from the band I'm gonna put through to you as the last one. So technically speaking, all the guys are rather veteran in the game, and they're supposed to know what they're doing. Well, technically speaking, they do. The production is fine, the playing the instruments is fine, and having this kind of ambient thing going on with these rather atmospheric parts, it's all good. And some of the riffs are really, really nice, being dark and, very sinister. When it comes to songwriting, with this 34 minutes or so of an album with 3 tracks, that is, every song being very, very lengthy, I know we're extending their stay, I'm like, you have a bunch of riffs, but you don't have the songs. I know it sounds kind of harsh, brutal, maybe exaggerating a little bit, but what I'm saying here is there's a lot of great riffs. Some good riffs too. Maybe more good riffs than great riffs, but goes beside the point. And once again, the production is pretty solid. But there are 2 major flaws. Major or minor, doesn't really matter. One of them are vocals, and the one of the thing is indeed the songwriting. The compositions tend to be too lengthy and going to no places. It's almost like you're jamming a session, but with proper production. Like I say, I know the songwriting is not about like writing individual riffs. It's not about executing those drums and all, which I know is handled by a couple of quality hands and all. But when it comes to creating the songs which would have hook, which have some memorability, which would have some kind of a hit potential rather than going in the background atmospheric stuff, yeah, not so much. So it's kind of a shame that with good riffs you can just have a result which seems very much like a textbook example of background black metal. I bet there are some people who love be on the background rather on the front, in the center, on the core of things. But for me, it's not doing the trick. First of all, this is not dark enough. This is not evil enough. This is not violent enough. This is not aggressive enough. This is not addictive enough. I don't want to sound complaining here, but that's what I'm doing, because I do love lots of these riffs, but it's almost like they're scattered around, and with 34 minutes, I'm like, I don't remember anything good about it. When I focus on a given single riff here and there, I'm like, wow, it's really nailing it, but then it's kind of fading away. It's almost like that person that whenever he or she is not talking, you kind of forget this person's existence in the very room. And when he or she opens their mouth, they're like, hey, what's up? You're still here. Not drunk, not passed out, whatever. So I'm thinking these guys could do a lot better. And the other flaw I was talking about, they're the vocals. They have a lot of reverb. It's almost like they're echoing to a chamber, but they don't do the trick. They're not on the front of things. They are not aggressive. They're not evil enough. In my opinion, the vocals should be replaced. They're not bad, but they're less than mediocrity in terms of black metal. I demand more than this. So a band that is potential, but more like feels it has leftover songs of this release I'm gonna talk after this one. Which brings us to this very best of the pile. This is Knokkelklang, which sounds horrible as a band name, but means something like bone sounds or something like rattling bones or whatever. So not that bad. This is very, very different in terms of cover. I mean, it does have bones and shit. So once again, very death-like thing going on. Coming from the same label, Terratur. But it's almost like this, light white sibling to the one I was talking about earlier. And much like the other one, doesn't have a booklet. Everything else is here. This, instead of Syning, is one-man project. But the funny thing is, the main man of that band, or at least the guitar vocalist guy, is the same as the only person taking care of this one. Much like Syning, this also blends ambient and black metal together, but here the songs are so much more fascinating and the atmosphere is a lot thicker. And because these do have similarities in terms of style, I feel like This is where the good ideas is. Syning is where the leftover ideas go. Because it's not like that has less experienced people with music and all that stuff. It's not like that has worse production than this, but somehow all the good songs are here, not on that one. And these both also share with the ambience, with the riffs, the kind of a thing, the songs are very lengthy. But this one is actually good, and I like how the atmosphere is built. It's very thick, it's kind of a captivating. It's almost like I'm talking the very same book, part 2 and part 1, but only the one part is better. So it's more like, hey, think about like this. Star Wars Trilogy 1 and 2 or 3. The first one, yeah, really magical. The second one, I don't know. The third one, wow, really? I mean, basically the same ingredients and same ideas, the same world building and all. That's what's happening here. The same world is being built with the atmosphere, with the long songs, with the similar riffs, or with the ambience, but only one of them is good. So that's the case with this one. So far, this is the easily the best of the pile here. This one I was really, really liking. Syning, I was struggling, liking only similar riffs here and there, whereas the first one, the split I mentioned, true demo is to get even compared to these ones. So this one is good. Syning one is hit and miss. And then the split CDR, not so much. So if you get the best of the pile and you want to go for something different than your typical Norwegian black metal, Knokkelklang is the album to go with. Now, of course, you will have links provided in the description box, at least some of them, so you can check out the music, and you can probably use your favorite streaming services to find out a little bit more. The first CDR split can be found on YouTube at least, and these two I am pretty sure can be found on Spotify and other similar streaming services. And if you like them, go for the physical products. As you can see, these two are quite nice CD digipack releases, so something beautiful to put into your collection if you happen to like the music, that is. Now off you go, enough ranting, bye bye.